Odisha, the magical, mystical land of temples, art, and culture. The ikat weaving technique is one such traditional method of weaving fabric by hand. The Barampur silk sari is revered for its astonishingly lightweight and signature Odissi styles Patachitra, masterly narrating folk tales with the intricate details and play of mythology. The Tarakasi works, a sheer sensory delight in silver that is cut to perfection in a myriad designs. The bright, vivid handicrafts will allure you, mesmerize you, and touch your heart, leaving you with an experience that resonates with the simplicity and warmth of the people of Orissa. Come to be amazed and transformed with this mystical, magical land and carry away memories to last with you a lifetime. Odisha, India's best kept secret. Odisha, the magical, mystical land of temples, art, and culture. The ikat weaving technique is one such traditional method of weaving fabric by hand. The Barampur silk sari is revered for its astonishingly lightweight and signature Odissi styles Patachitra, masterly narrating folk tales with the intricate details and play of mythology. The Tarakasi works, a sheer sensory delight in silver that is cut to perfection in a myriad designs. The bright, vivid handicrafts will allure you, mesmerize you, and touch your heart, leaving you with an experience that resonates with the simplicity and warmth of the people of Orissa. Come to be amazed and transformed with this mystical, magical land and carry away memories to last with you a lifetime. Odisha, India's best kept secret.
Good morning, madam. I'm Dr. Ajanta Nayak.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are now audible.
Okay. Good morning, Dr. Ajanta here. Yeah.
Shall we start, ma'am?
Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 4 of Insight Faculty Development Program in Home Science. I think we had great representations from the resource persons from different spheres since last 3 days. And we are heading to another exciting session. An esteemed resource person, she is joining with us from Baroda, Gujarat. With that, I would like to hand over to Dr. Suparna Patel to give the guest introduction. Suparna, madam, please.
Good morning, one and all. I feel honored and privileged to get the opportunity to introduce our resource person, Dr. Hemlata Nikhil Raval, on this special occasion. Dr. Hemlata Nikhil Raval is an assistant professor, Department of Clothing and Textile, Faculty of Family and Community Sciences, the Maharaja's Sayajirao University, Baroda, Vadodara, Gujarat. She has number of publications, many international and national reputed journals. She has written a book named Roll with Beads, a guide to bead work. She has attended many national and international conferences and presented paper. She was awarded 2 best poster in this state level seminar. So without wasting any time, let me now request our resource person, Dr. Hemlata Nikhil Raval, to start presentation, madam. Madam, please.
Thank you so much. In the beginning of this session, I would take the opportunity to thank Rama Devi Women's University, Bhubaneswar, who has invited me here to speak about the textile crafts of India in this 1-week online faculty development program. And I feel privileged to be here with you on this online platform. This program has been organized by PG Department of Home Science, sponsored by IDP, RDWU, Bhubaneswar. So, Dr. Ajanta Nayak, who was constantly in contact with me, and I'm very much impressed with the organizing team, the way the program has been organized. I've attended the inaugural function on the first day, and I also appreciate the team of organizing committee who must have worked day and night to make this program a success. I hope all the participants of this program will be benefited with this. And with this brief warm welcome note, I will begin with my presentation. I'll just share my screen. Let me know if the screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Is it the first slide visible? Study of textile crafts of India.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just make a full screen and begin. Here I am given the topic to talk about the textile crafts of India. Now, as the visual journey was taken today in the beginning of this session, the small clippings of videos which has been covering all the textiles of India, and there is a lot to study, lot to cover under this. I will be covering the selected part on this under this talk today, where the printed textiles, painted textiles, and resist textiles I'll be covering under this. Now, when we talk about textiles, it is all how it was begin. It is a long history. So every textile had its own history, but in the nutshell, I would like to say here that India uh, was pioneer as far as the handcrafted textiles are concerned, and the art of block printing, dyeing with natural dyes, and embroidery techniques, followed by later weaving techniques, were introduced in our country, where the craftsmen have shown their skills to create beautiful designs on the textiles by using all these techniques. Initially on the cotton, and later the silk fabric was explored to ornament the surface of the textiles. So here, talking about the dyed and printed textiles, we have the basic concept of surface embellishment. Now, little details are you can see here on the screen, but important words I've made bold, so it will be very easy to understand. So here the purpose of printing or painting the textile is basically to embellish the surface. Now, what is important here that how best the craftsmen create the designs on the surface. So the skill is very important, that how the craftsmen are creating the designs on the surface. So we have for the printed and painted textiles, the many regions of India practicing this particular craft. But as far as traditional hand printed textiles are concerned, the western and northwestern regions, like the states of Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh, are having the traditional block printed textiles practiced from the beginning and till date. For this particular talk, I will be covering the printed textiles. Under this category of printed textiles, Ajrak printing, which comes from the state of Gujarat, Dabu printing from the state of Rajasthan, painted textiles under this category, the Kalamkari from Andhra Pradesh, resist dyed textiles. It is having under this particular topic, fabric resist where bandhani is from Gujarat and Rajasthan, yarn resist will have ikkats, that is patola from Gujarat and banda from Odisha. I'm just confirming, is the screen is moving? Can you all see?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. Now, when we talk about printing technique, printing, as we are talking of only the traditional technique of textile printing, it is happening only with the blocks in various states, and it will have the three basic techniques, where we have direct printing technique, where the blocks are used to print the surface of the fabric with colors. Traditionally, it was happening with the natural dyes and pigment colors. And now the same technique is being practiced, but we now have the use of some pigment dyes and synthetic dyes also. So the technique remains the same, only the dye type differs, the color palette differs. The designs also have the traditional motifs, earlier different, and now with the modernization, the collection of motif also change a bit. Another one is the resist printing technique. Now this technique is also happening with blocks. Instead of color, the blocks will be carrying the resist paste, So on the colored fabric, when this resist blocks are printing the resist paste, the discharge will be created and the printed area will become colorless. So further, in various types of printed textiles, I will be covering and mentioning these, that what are the examples of direct printing techniques, what are the examples of resist printing techniques. Third one is outline block printing. Now this outline block printing will just have the outlines of the designs printed, and they will create fine lines of a particular motif or a design. Now, who all will be doing this printing? So there are people under this category of printing groups. The people who are printing, they are called chipas, and they are different from the community of dyers. Dyers are called rangres. And the people who are creating the blocks, they are coming from the community of carpenters. All over the India, we have the Pethapur, the center of block production, which is situated near Gandhinagar in Gujarat. So most of the block printing centers in India have the blocks supplied from this particular place called Pethapur. The printing groups with categorical identity. Now, depending on the particular availability and production of the group and the Chipia communities residing in a particular region of a particular state, we have major centers practicing the traditional block printing are Gujarat, Rajasthan, and Madhya Pradesh. We do have other states also, I have mention of it. But these three are the major centers who will be having block printing practiced. Other centers are like we have block printing is happening in Uttar Pradesh. These some of the places I have mentioned here. Maharashtra also have Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and Chhattisgarh. So these are the states have in their cities or in their villages, we have the traditional block printing still practiced. So as I mentioned, hand block printing traditionally practiced in these three states majorly, where Gujarat is having the practice of Ajrak, Rogan, Saudagiri, mud printing and khadi printing. Rajasthan having Bagru, Sanganeri and khadi, and Madhya Pradesh having Bagh and khadi printings. So I've already mentioned the traditional printing style, that is the direct style of printing, discharge and resist. So they are having use of blocks, but the paint changes, the print paste changes as a colored paste or a discharge paste, or there would be a resist paste. How the traditional printing styles that have been developed, as I said, it is only with the block. So we are not having mention of any screen or roller printing techniques, which are the recent development in the textile printing. So how this traditional printing designs are developed, I'll be taking along with the text some of the visual journey. Some samples I've quoted here. So designs which are there used in the block printing technique are having birds, animal motifs. Now these motifs are having their influence because whatever available to the block printers in their nearby vicinity. So all the motifs have been inspired from the natural resources. So you will see the birds, animals, some tree motifs, leaf motifs, creepers, etc. So in the tree of life, all these motifs are grouped and the tree is created. In a similar way, the yardages of the textiles are created with the individual block patterns or repeat patterns are created in the field or the border designs, and this is how the printing happens. So we have the motifs from the natural inspiration of the sources like mango, flower, leaf, chili, and these motifs are then artistically created and used to print the textiles. Some geometric designs like pyramid, pentagons, triangles, and circular or Buddha motifs are also created. So now I will be taking you to the steps of a block making, how the blocks are prepared. So the blocks, the wooden block, the seasoned wooden block. So mostly the thick wood, a piece of thick wood is, which is closely grained wood is taken. It is painted with white color. Why painted with white color? So the design which is painted on it will be visible. So this block is then measured with the scale in terms of how big the block should be prepared and how big the design to be developed. So from a tiny 2 by 2 inches block to 6 by 6 or 8 by 8 inches block, depending on the design, the field design or the border design, different shapes and sizes of blocks are created. Then the design is drawn on the paper, and that paper is fixed or pasted onto the block. And then the block is carved using special instruments. Like traditionally, the chisel and the hammers were used to scoop out all the unwanted areas of the block. And then the design is, fine details are done, and the pattern to be printed is relieved from the block, and fine details are taken out with the chisel. And this is how in the last figure that you see, that block is ready with the fine lines of the design. So here this is just one example of block, that how finally it appears. So the basic block is having the design which is raised from its surface. The background area is scooped out. So it is basically preparing the block first, or the Pothaipur blocks are then purchased by the printers. The blocks are dipped in the color tray, and this color adheres onto the surface of the block, and the blocks are then stamped on the fabrics which are spreaded on the padded table. So here the block can have the design printed either as a border design or a filling design, depending on what kind of design is having the combinations on it. So it could be single color block that you see here in the image, or it can have the border design printed first, and later on with another block the color filling can also be done. So here you can see the block is having the border with the green, and the filling is of the flower is done with the orange. So depending on the number of colors to be used for the blocks, it could be 3, 4, 5, the number of blocks required as per the color to be used on the particular fabric. So it becomes a tedious process if the more and more colors are used, because so many blocks need to be developed to print so many colors on one fabric. So minimum single or 2 to 3 colors is okay. Otherwise, the product becomes expensive as you go on increasing more colors to it, and the process becomes tedious, and it will take so many days to develop the print on the fabric. So once this printing is done, the fabric is steamed to fix the color, washed with water, and finally sun dried and ironed, and then it comes to the market. So here are some of the blocks. This is the printing tray where the color, the print paste is poured in this, and the block is stamped on this printing tray. And finally, this is what the fabric is printed. So for border, another block, and for the field, another block. So depending on the combinations of design on the fabric, the print, so many blocks will be required and printing will happen. So if you are using 2 colors, then there will be first color to be printed. One need to wait for the first color to get dried, and then the application of the second color will happen. So to print these designs onto the fabric, traditionally the use of natural dyes was happening, and still many of the centers are continuing with the natural dyes. So the dyes were sourced from the natural sources, and they were available from the roots, leaves, or the bark of the tree, or they could be available in the pigment form also, but they are all from the natural sources. So here is the list of some of the colors that are available as a natural dye. So red, brown, yellow, mustard, golden, black and blue. So there will definitely be limitation of color that you don't see here. The pure green, or you don't see here the proper maroon or proper orange. So there, and sometimes the combination of colors, the way we have for the pigment as a direct application, may not be possible with the natural dyes. So throughout my presentations, all the colors that you see here traditionally available on the textiles will have limited color palette, like you may see them as a black, maroon, some of the shades of green, and indigo blue. Coming to the state of Gujarat. As per the classification of my presentation category, we have under the category of printed textile, the Ajrak print that comes from the state of Gujarat. I'll be now talking about it. So this printing technique again happening with the block printing, using the natural dyes, and this printing technique is having a speciality of it, that it will have its all printing done on the surface of the fabric if it is one side printed, and it will have the other side of the fabric also printed if the requirements the two-sided prints are to be created. So it will have about 14 to 16 stages of printing the textiles with the natural dyes. And this has been found in the excavation of the Mohenjo-daro civilization, that this art is very old, as 3000 years. And it is basically meaning ajrak, means ajrak, to keep it today. So the textile having the speciality that it is having the characteristic, as you see at the, if you look at the textile, and you will feel that it has been printing today only. It is looking fresh forever. So it is ajrak, means keeping it today. So either single side, that is egg puri, or double side bipuri, means as I said, two side printing or one side printing will be done on this textile fabrics. So indigo and madder, so blue and maroon, these two are the specific characteristic color combination that you see on these textiles. The sequence of printing procedure will have the washing of the fabrics, and it happens with the camel dung and soda ash and castor oil. And this washing is done basically to make the fabric pure and starch free. And the sequence of procedure is done 7 to 8 times, and that is called as a saj, means kapde ko tayar karna. Then it is treatment, because it is done with the natural dye. The pre-treatment is done with the myrobalan, that is a harda treatment. And after this treatment, the fabric is dried, and the excess of harda is shaken off. Then it is karyanu. Karyanu is basically to apply a resist paste. So when you do not want a particular color to happen on the fabric, means if you want the fabric surface area to be kept with the white design, so a resist print paste is applied, that is on one side of the fabric. And if you want the resist happening on another side of the fabric, then it will be applied on both the sides. So the blocks are prepared in such a way that you print on one side, and a mirror image of that block is prepared for printing on another side. So two sets of blocks are needed for this particular registration of the design. Cut is creating black outline on there. So after the resist, the black color is applied, and that is prepared by fermenting iron with the jaggery, and it is happening in the iron pot. So the thick black color solution is prepared. to which thickener, tamarind seeds flour is added to it. So a thick paste can be applied with the block onto the fabric surface, and it will not smudge on the fabric. So again, the way the resist is applied on single or both the sides, the black color outlines are also done on single or both the sides of the fabric. Then, to avoid smudging of the fabric, the Kutch procedure has a sawdust sprinkle. So whatever has been printed on the fabric, to absorb the extra dye application or print paste application, sawdust is sprinkled on the fabric. And then after this sawdust gets dried, the cloth is dyed in the indigo color. This indigo color application is then exposed to sunlight. So with the oxidation, the blue color is developed on the fabric. So this is what the final print will look like, that it will have a combination of some portion as a white, some portion as a blue, and outlined with the black color. So depending on the depth of the blue color, it will have its first at least minimum 2 applications with the indigo dye. Then this dyed fabric is washed. So wherever the sawdust was holding the background, and then it is, while washing, the alum residue will show the yellow color on the surface of the fabric. If other than black and indigo, any other color is to be applied, then the fabric will further be boiled with the alizarin or madder root, and with the alizarin or madder root, the red color also can be introduced to the final fabric. Henna solution can be used in this dye bath in a combination where a tinge of green will also be seen on the surface of the fabric. So blue is the indigo, and the green that you see here is the henna. Manjista root can also be used to develop the orange color. So depending on the number of colors here, right from blue to orange to green or yellow, the natural dyes will have the color applications to be developed onto this for this Ajrak printed fabrics. Here are some of the pictures of Ajrak printed products. Now this particular designs that you see here, the printers are basically the Khatri communities residing in the regions of Kutch, and they will have their Muslim architecture influence on their block designs. So you will see some geometric designs with the squares and circles and some jali patterns. And definitely you will not find any human figuratives or designs available from the natural inspiration sources. So this is what you see here, some of the Ajrak designs. The products that you see in the market, online they are available, otherwise also looking at the designs you can identify them now, that the yardages that are printed, they can be utilized to produce various types of fabrics and the garments, like you have right from the kamarband to safa and many products like garments and rajais and all. So now you can see them in the footwear designs also. So the sky is the limit as far as product development is concerned. The complete procedure with the picture is very well described on this website. So I have quoted the links here. One can refer to this. Next printing technique is dabu or dabu printing. This is again a traditional block printing technique to develop the design on the textiles. It is being practiced in the state of Rajasthan. Now this is printing. This printing technique is having a resist technique. Ajrak was having a combination of resist and block printing technique. This Dabu is again a block printing technique with the resist style, where the resist paste is prepared with mud, gum, and lime and waste wheat calf. It is printed with the resist paste, sprinkled with the sawdust to absorb extra resist paste, allowed to dry, and then later on dipped in the indigo bath. So all the designs that are available in the surrounding nature like birds, plants, flowers, fruits, and some of the geometric motifs you will see in this design. And as I made a mention of it, indigo is the primitive dye, and earlier practiced, you will have many of the Dabu designs in blue. Now they have started using green and red also. So these are the block designs, repeat patterns you will see in there, some borders and field designs you will see, and basic resist, which is having a white area which has been resist and the background is printed with blue. So this is the characteristic feature of this, that you have the small designs with many motifs to it, but the blue field. Some of the products are available in the market as a yardages, sarees, garments, kurtis, etc. Now we have the yardages available converted into many products like bags. You have the bed sheets and pillow covers also. The yardages can be converted into garments like this. Here you can see the combination of orange and maroon, that is other than indigo. Colorful designs you can see, and a sari. So other than this, many products could be there depending on how the designers can have their fabric to be used. Now under the category of painted textiles, so block was a preparation of wooden block, printing it using the print paste or a resist paste. Now coming to the painted textile category, we have the kalamkari. And this particular kalamkari, I will be covering, which is practiced in the state of Andhra Pradesh. We have kalamkari happening in the state of Gujarat also. And in the state of Gujarat, we call it as a Matani Pachedi. As the name says, Matani Pachedi is the mother goddess is painted on the fabric with the hand painting technique using kalam. And this preparation of this mother goddess painting is used as a chandarvu or the backdrop in the temples. So a particular community using this particular kalamkari, the Matani Pachedi, the Wagri community, means these people only make it and they use it for their purpose. So this Matani Pachedi you will never find as in the products like skirts or footwear or lungis like that, because as the mother goddess motifs are painted onto it, and to give due respect to the uh, mother goddess, you will find limited products with this Matani Pachedi. But as far as Kalamkari of Andhra Pradesh is concerned, we have again here two different classification of motifs and techniques. So I'll be taking you to this classification. The Kalamkari techniques, basically there are two centers practicing this particular painted and printed textiles of Kalamkari. One is Masulipatanam, and that is also called as Machilipattanam, and another place is a Kalahasti in the state of Andhra Pradesh. Kalam, a pen, is used to develop the design on the fabric. So here is the picture of Kalam. So the first picture that you see here is having the Kalam used filled with wax, and it is wherever the wax is to be applied as a resist, this kalam is used. This particular another picture of kalam is having the molten wax filled in this, and it is covered with the layer of hair. So it can be pressed and the wax can be oozed out from this iron nib. And the third one that you see here, it is like the stick of wood, and it is chewed or it is beaten to make a brush. The tip of the stick is beaten to create a brush here. Some of the columns are wound with the goat hair and tied with the thread, and when it is dipped in color, the painter will press this portion of the column so the color oozes out and the painting can happen with it. So it is something like we dip in our pen in the pot of ink and then we write with it. In a similar way, these columns are dipped in the wax or a color and then pressed, so the color or the wax oozes out on the surface of the fabric. So it is completely hand operated technique where the designs are created using this particular instrument. The Masulipatanam art is having exclusively block printing. So it is earlier, I have already told you about the Kalamkari art, but Masulipatanam art, earlier they were doing with the painting technique, but with the influence of Mughal rulers, they have switched over to the Persian motifs, and you will find many designs which are coming from the Persia, or it is having influence of Mughal dynasty. So this particular, like the artist of this Kalamkari art has switched over to block printing technique very conveniently and comfortably. And Machuli art that you see here will have all the block printed designs on it. Though they are using natural dyes, this art is very much different from the other Kalahasti Kalamkari techniques. So in the majority of the area of Masulipatanam, wherever you will find the Kalamkari, it is happening with the block printing technique. They are using natural dyes and no other chemicals. So red and indigo, they are the two distinct colors which are used to develop the designs. And the pomegranate rind and myrobalan fruits are used to develop the different colors onto it. So here you can see that the outline blocks and the filling blocks are used. So it is this particular kalamkari having characteristics of being done with blocks. Sri Kalahasti, it was ruled, this particular area is ruled by Hindu rulers, so it will have the influence of mythological scenes, designs on the, as this particular mythological stories are being depicted in this particular Kalamkari art. So Ramayana, Mahabharata, and the motives like god, goddesses, Krishna, Shiva, you will find on this particular art of Kalamkari, which comes from Kalahasti. In this particular painting technique of Kalamkari, the brush is used, that is kalam or brush is used. Kalam is used to create outlines and the brush is used to fill the colors. So it is exclusive hand-made or hand-painted product which comes from Kalahasti. You will see the mythological stories and god and goddesses motifs, and these are some of the pictures of this Kalahasti Kalamkari. So Masulipatanam Kalamkari is a block printed Kalamkari. Sri Kalahasti is having all hand painted Kalamkari. So they are differently categorized. As far as one state of Andhra is concerned, both the techniques are different from each other. The third category is resist dyed textile. Now this resist dyed textiles will have two basic classification. if the fabrics are resist or the yarns that are resisted and then the fabrics are woven. So we have two different classification. So when the fabric is resist, we have the bandhani or bandhej, that is the product with the dot patterns in the market, and another one is fabric is rolled and then resisted to create line patterns, which are under the category of laharias. So bandhani and bandhej are coming from the state of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Tamil Nadu is also practicing sungdi, and the bands are coming from the state of Rajasthan. If under the second category, if we look at it, the yarn tied resist, they are either single ikat or double ikat techniques. So the yarns are resisted first, dyed, and then the fabrics are woven. So we have the textiles from Gujarat, we have textiles from Andhra Pradesh, and we have textiles from Odisha. So we have patolas from Gujarat and single ikat techniques from the Surendranagar in Gujarat. Um, we have Pochampalli from Andhra Pradesh, and we have a lot many combination of single and double ikat techniques in the state of Orissa. Like Behrampur, we have some of the examples of like we have Saktapara, and we have those combinations of Vichitra Purvi saris, and lot many, like if we see the double ikat techniques, Orissa has its own combinations of motifs created here. So when we talk of fabric resist styles, as I already stated, Rajasthan has a striped and dotted patterns, Tamil Nadu has a sungdi, that is only dotted pattern, and Gujarat has only dotted patterns, which are called bandhanis. So now taking through the journey of this fabric resist textiles, we have the bandhani, which comes from the state of Gujarat and Rajasthan. So you will see the characteristic design with the tiny dots on the surface of the fabrics. These dots are created by tying the cloth with the threads, so not allowing the dye to penetrate into it. So this resisted dots will create a colored white pattern against the colored background. So fingernails are used to plug the fabrics, and the patterns are created. So there will be different kinds of motifs, like the tiny dots will be arranged in a sequence to create a motif like leaf, a flower, human figure, or geometric designs. In Gujarat, we have this particular art practiced right from the ancient era. And we have the raw materials like fine cotton, from muslin to silk and voile. These days we have the chiffons and georgette also available in Bandhani. All bright colors you will find, and now the pastels are also in the fashion. So the craftspersons are making the Bandhani in pastel colors also. Dots, stripes, squares, and pattern designs are available. The technique of bandhani is not just the random, but it is very much systematic. The fabrics used are usually the saris or dupattas, and they are under this category of lightweight fine fabrics. So the fabrics is folded in multiple layers, and the purpose of folding it in multiple layer is to get the repeat design. So the 5-meter sari is folded 4 times. So you will get about 1¼ meter of sari for dyeing, and after dyeing, when it opens, the whole sari of 5 meters will get the tie and dye design reflected. So it is basically to cut down on the work of tying, and to get the design in a repeat form, the fabric is first folded, and then it is printed with wooden blocks. These wooden blocks will have those dots marked on it, and it is printed with either neil or geru, and these patterns are printed on the fabric, and as per these patterns the tying will happen with the thread, and depending on the fineness of the tying, the resisted area will be created. So the tiny dots tied will give you a tiny or the fine tied design. So this is what you can see here, that those blue dots is a printed design and the tying is happening here with the thread. Then the fabric is dyed. Now for the purpose of dyeing, the sequence is right, basic lightest color is yellow. So from the lightest to darkest color, depending on the number of colors to be used, the sequence is followed. So the area to be kept white, they are tied first, then the first sequence is yellow. That area to be resisted with yellow is tied a second time and then dyed with the next color, which could be red, which gives you the orange color. So the tying is a sequence that is followed after every dyeing. But very important thing here, after the first dyeing, when the second dyeing happens, the dyer must be aware of the resulting color of the two color combinations. Like after yellow, when you are using red color, definitely the resulting color will be happening as orange on the surface of the fabric. So it is very important to have the color that is finally produced on the fabric. So this is how the fabric is tied after every dyeing sequence, and the multicolor bandhani can be prepared. After dyeing, the fabric is thoroughly washed, and then this is how you can see after opening the fabric. Depending on what pattern has been created, you have the leaf pattern, you have the dancing doll pattern, or human figures, flower, plants and all. So here you can see the fold in the center, that only half of the side is being tied and the other side is automatically being created when the fabric is getting opened. With this technique, the identification of particular textile as far as Gujarat is concerned, so everybody knows about Patan Patola as far as yarn technique is concerned. The Gharcholu is equally famous from Gujarat, and it is the wedding sari for a Hindu bride. Uh, this particular textile is prepared either in cotton and silk, and Khambat is the place where the fabric is prepared, the white fabric with the golden woven checks, and the square of this checks, golden checks, is having motifs of bandhani tied and dyed. So this particular sari with tied and dyed motifs, where you will see dancing peacock, dancing lady, peacock, elephants, etc. So each block compartment of this particular sari is done with tiny dots using tie and dye technique. So this is what is called as a gharcholu, and as it used to happen on silk and still happening on silk with this artistic fine tie and dye technique, it turns out to be very expensive sari. So everybody, though it is a wedding sari for Hindu bride, everybody cannot afford to have an original gharcholu. So we have the replicas as a printed gharcholu also in the market, which are available at the cheaper price. So one can have it. So this is what the image of gharcholu that you see here. Fine designs and fine motifs you can see. So apart from this bandhani happening in the state of Gujarat, we have another state, Rajasthan, where two different types of resist technique is practiced. One is bandage, another one is laheria. Bandage creates tiny dots, laheria creates the pattas or the bands or samandar ki lahre on the fabric. So here is a list of so many designs which are slightly different from this Gujarat bandhani. Gujarat bandhani has birds, animals, human figures, and some Ras Leela patterns as a tie and dye motifs. Rajasthan will have basically the flowers, creepers, bells, and jal designs. Fineness definitely appears in the Rajasthan bandhani also, but motifs are altogether different. Here also, the fabric is pre-prepared while washing, fold and rolled, and then it is tied and dyed. Apart from this tiny dots bandhani, what I am showing here is the laheria patterns. So fabric is rolled and then it is tied at intervals depending on what type of width of bands as a laheria you want on the fabric. These laherias are then dyed, and when they are opened, they appear like these bands on the fabric surface. Once that these laherias are dyed, the unwanted colors in this background is bleached out with the hydro powder, and then another color application is done. So tying, dyeing, discharging and re-dyeing, this is the sequence happening for laherias. Later on, the fabric is beaten and then allowed to dry, and then this is what various kinds of layeria designs are produced on the textiles. It is not always the diagonal bands you see, but depending on how the fabric is handled while tying, you can have different designs created on it. And as per the designs like thin and thick patterns, so Sikke is the name, Patta, that is the name. You have these wavy designs called as Bhopal Shahi Laherias. You have different names to this Laheria patterns also. These are some of the examples of bandage. This picture, the having a Laheria and bandage in a combination. So it will happen that way also. So here, the last picture that you see here, that the fabric must have been dyed with the basic color and then dyed with second color with the discharge. So the dots are not white here, but you can see the colored dots are happening. So dyeing, tying, discharging and re-dyeing, that is the sequence to get the colorful dots here on the bandhani textiles. After this fabric resist techniques, we have the next set of design created on the fabric is the ikat technique, where the yarns are tied and dyed to create the design when the fabric is woven on the loom. So design appear at the time of weaving here. So this is happening as a single ikat or a double ikat onto the textiles. So here the basic information where in which all places the ikat is happening in India. So basically 4 places: Gujarat, Telangana, Andhra Pradesh and Odisha. So Gujarat is having the name of Patola, having double ikat technique. Mushroom is a textile where single ikat technique is used. Telangana having single ikat under this category of Pochampalli, a textile. Andhra Pradesh having Telia Rumala with double technique, and Odisha having double ikat techniques called bandhas. Patolas from Patan, originally and now also it is happening in silk only with the natural dyes. Patola, Patan is the place, and with the name of the place, it is always having this Patola of Patan. The Patan is also always associated with the name Patola. It is a double ikat technique, and it takes a lot of time to make one sari of this Patola, about 2 years span. We have designs like Kunjar Bhat, Nari Kunj, birds motifs, but birds motifs, animal motifs, they are all seen on it. The designs are called bhat. So it is the patola bhat, people bhat, that is leaf pattern, kunjar bhat, that is parrot pattern. So it is always said that The yarns which are tied and dyed with natural dyes, the colors are so fast that the fabric may be worn out, but the color of the patola will never go away. The intensity of the color will be maintained throughout the life of the patola. So this is what it is said, that padi patode bhat. जो design patola पे बन जाता है, it can never be faded away. So it is known for its fastness of the color. Here you can see the combination of warp and weft create the motif. Like you can see the parrots, anifers, animal motifs, and other naturalistic designs which are created. So slightly hazy edging you will see as the yarns are tied and dyed and created to people leaf designs you have. Then you have the dancing lady also. So these are the patterns of patola. If the patola saris are to be worn by the Muslim communities, then you will find many geometric designs. There you will not find the dancing or the garba scenes or other uh, motifs. So we have multiple designs prepared for the Hindu communities and the Muslim communities differently. So the artist will customize their designs as per the demand of the customers. The ikat from the Pochampalli will have the bold borders, and the field will be created as a two designs. That is the basic characteristics of Pochampalli, having GI status also. And this particular area had a Telia Rumal having a combination of basic red, black and white color. As this Telia Rumal having a treatment with oil, it is called as Telia Rumal. It was used by the traveler men to be used as a headgear or a headscarf, and this is how the name is still having a Telia Rumal. Double ikat technique is used to produce designs on this. So basic white, black and maroon color, red color you will find in this particular Telia Rumal. Pochampalli is a single ikat technique. You will have that hazy designs onto it with like merging of the designs, colors you can see here, depending on how the design has been placed. So either in the warps or in the wefts, you will see this technique implemented. And this particular technique will have its own identification in the uh, market of the textile. The ikkats from Odisha. Since majority of the participants on the organizing committee itself having from Odisha, this textile is not new to you people. So here you can see the set of yarns are tied and dyed. So this bunch of yarns called banda, and they are then set on the loom to prepare the fabric. So Rudraksh motifs, so many motifs which are inspired from the marine lives are created on this textiles with some checkerboard patterns. This textile, Odisha textiles, also geographically tagged in 2007, and motifs, as I said, lotus, fish, rudraksha, elephanta motifs you'll see. Um, Various motifs inspired from the temple towers are also seen in this. And this will also have a sequence of tie and dye depending on the color to be used. Here is a picture of some of the motifs which are used on textiles of Odisha. Uh, So combinations of colors, combinations of designs, multiple borders and field designs are created. So the weaver has to do a lot of calculations on the number of yarns, the area to be dye and dye, and how they are to be set on the looms to create the pattern. So the efforts are equally same if you talk about patolas of Patan or ikkats of Odisha. Other than this, so this is all what under the three category of printed, painted and resist textiles I wanted to cover, I've covered. But some of the textiles I would like to take on as a traditional textiles which are practiced in these areas of Gujarat, Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh are Rogan printing. This is as old as the Ajrak printing or the batik printing, which is practiced in the area of Kutch, where the castor oil is boiled to get the thick consistency, natural pigments are added to it, and a thick paste is pulled out to create a thread-like substance, and it is then created like a painting pen. And this is what is happening as a, so actually it is a painting technique, but it is now classified under the printing. So this is how the color is applied, and depending on the design, fineness design, half of the design is done like that and the other half is just pasted by folding the fabric. So the replication of the design is done on the other side. This paint will take about 1 week to 10 days to dry. So it is like painting happening and then impression is duplicated on the other side. So it is a tedious task, but on the other hand, it is happening fast also. Another print is called a Saudagiri. You must not have seen, you must not have heard about it because this particular artist has been vanished and not in practice, but I am covering here as a traditional uh, print or a traditional textile which was happening with the block. And this was the fabric used by the Indian traders. So Vora Muslim communities of Gujarat were the exporters of this particular printed textiles in various regions of Southeast Asia and Thailand. So the designs were very limited, but having a characteristics of grid pattern. So these kinds of designs were printed on the fabrics and maybe in the form of borders and overall print. And this was used as a against the barter system. So it was happening as a sauda. So the trade was happening with this fabric. Another one is a mud printing textile. This is again what I have said about that the mud is used as a resist paste for dhabu printing in Rajasthan. Similar way, the mud paste is used as a resist in the local area of Gujarat, Padra. And this is the preparation of the paste by sugar and chuna and some glue is added to it. And this paste is printed with the nail block. That is the characteristic feature of this particular printing technique, that nail blocks are used. So you will see the design in the form of some dots. So here you can see the tiny dots. Nail block is created. These are not the wooden blocks. The wood is the foundation, but the design is created by piercing the nail into this wooden block. So the print, the resist print is printed and it is coming up as a dotted pattern, and when the fabric is dyed, it is creating pattern like this. So basically red and blackish blue color, these are the only two colors were printed on this particular textiles, and the Rabari community was using this particular textile as a ghagara or odna for them. And now we have them as a, still those community are wearing the same color combination, but it is available as a printed textile, machine printed. Another one is the khadi printing. Khadi printing everybody is aware of. This is again an old age textile where like Rogan printing, khadi print paste is prepared with the castor oil, and it is then pigment color is added to have a colored khadi, or it is sprinkled with a silver leaves or a silver powder or a gold powder to have the gold or silver khadi print on the fabric. So it gives the rich print as far as gold or silver or a contrasting khade is concerned. This is having that three-dimensional surface effect on the fabric. But having this stiff kind of khadi application, the fabric is little rough to feel and a little harsh to and little harder to uh, feel. In the state of Rajasthan, Bagru printing is practiced. It is again done with the block printing. So first block printing is done with the natural dyes. The printed area is resisted and then it is dyed for the background color. So it is a combination of block printed with the resist technique. And these are some of the characteristics of Bagru textiles, that this particular textile, because it is having the sequence of printing and dyeing, the field will always be the beige color. That is off-white color or the light brownish color, because background will have some marobalan treatment and the natural dyes happening with the madder and iron. So you will find them with the beige background. On the other hand, Sanganeri prints are having a simple direct hand block printing. So Muslim community is practicing this craft, having the designs of natural inspiration, flower motifs, creeper designs will be there. So Sanganeri prints are slightly different from Bagru prints, and it will definitely have white background to it. So bold designs, naturalistic designs, white background, multicolored designs you will find in this Sanganeri prints. So this particular Bagru and Sanganeri, both the prints are practiced in some of the areas of Madhya Pradesh also, because the Madhya Pradesh Bagru and Sanganeri is having some roots coming from Rajasthan. So state influence is there. So the printers of Madhya Pradesh are having these two crafts also practiced there. Another block printed textile is of the Madhya Pradesh is Bag, where the wooden blocks are used. The design is printed with the outline. The background or the design filling is done with red. So basically two color combination you will have in this particular design. This is happening in this particular a particular state of Madhya Pradesh. Batik printing of Madhya Pradesh, very much known in the area of Behrugad. Wax resisting is done. Some Malaysian design influence is also there. Some designs are coming from the Shantiniketan of Kolkata. And the combination of motifs you'll find here. So wax resist dyeing and printing is happening. It is happening with natural dyes, with indigo, and now recently some pigments colors are also used. So here is the pen. That is what I've shown you earlier for kalamkari. Similar kind of pen, but this is created with the metal. So fine wax designs are applied to resist the fabric. Blocks are also used to apply the wax on the fabric to resist the area. And the resisted area will not take the color, and the background you can see here that beautiful resist design is created. So it is either done with the pen, it is also could be done with block. So single color, two colors or multicolored wax designs are created on the fabrics. So this is how, other than those basic printed, painted, resisted textile, I have added some of the textiles which are regularly practiced in the state of Gujarat, Maharashtra and Madhya Pradesh. And they have been originated, as I said, in the past, since past 3,000 years, and still the craft people are practicing with it, and they have preserved the cultural heritage of traditional block printing art, tie and dye art, and the resist art of creating the textiles. With this, I'll be ending my presentation, and here are some of the references. The consolidated information, if you want to have, we have it, the eighth one, a book published by Dr. Professor Karolia Anjali, who is the Dean of our Faculty of Family and Community Sciences. She has compiled the information of printed, painted, embroidered, and woven textiles, and the book has been released in 2 volumes, and it is available online on Flipkart. So if anybody wants to have the detailed history and origin of the craft and the process of making it, and about information about its products, this book will give you concise information.
Thank you, ma'am. Over to Suparna, ma'am. Suparna, ma'am, are you there?
Should I close the presentation?
Ma'am,
Thank you, ma'am.
Is there any question answer happening? I don't know.
Ma'am, yes, ma'am. There are so many questions. What is the difference between Tikalahasti and Machilipatnam style of kalamkari?
Okay. As I said, do you want me to show the image, or it is fine if I answer you like this?
ma'am, anything will go good. I think if you can show the image, it would be better.
Okay. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah. So the regions of Machilipatnam will have the, earlier they were doing with the kalam or the painting brush, but with the Mughal emperors, 6 Mughal emperors who ruled this particular state, they have switched over from kalam to the blocks. So some of the motifs which they were practicing, they have transferred onto the block, and they are now producing this kalamkari with the blocks. Okay, so block printing is the technique for kalamkari of Machilipatnam. And for Sri Kalahasti, they are having that proper pen for application of the color and a proper brush to be used for filling of the color. So the Machilipatnam one is the block printed kalamkari, and the Sri Kalahasti is a painted kalamkari done with the hand painting technique. So designs are different, and the motifs are also different. And this particular Sri Kalahasti having still that Hinduism and Jainism influence onto it. So you will see most of the mythological stories of Ramayana and Mahabharata and motifs of gods and goddesses depicted in it. The other one will have naturalistic and geometric designs, where the Persian influence of Persian motifs will be there with the ruler of the Mughals. I hope I am clear with this, and you are also clear with this.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. Another question. A single product of Trikalahasti Kalamkari takes how much time to complete?
Madam, this all depends on the fineness of the design. Here, no artist would say that there is no fixed amount of number of days. It all depends on the intricacy of the design. It all depends on the size of the product that you are preparing, the number of colors that you are introducing there. So once you create the borders of the design, each filling color will take color application and drying application, pre-treatment and post-treatment of the dye application. So at least for one color development, if you count 2 to 3 days, and if you have 6 colors to be applied, so definitely about 20 to 25 days time will be there for a particular piece of fabric. But if there is a huge piece, like the huge wall painting, if you have, it will take about 6 to 8 months, and it all depends on the urgency of the um, crafts person, that depend on the order, that a particular task is to be finished in a particular time. So other than that dyeing and drying time, they may go on faster with their color application. That is what the blocks will definitely go faster. It is just pre-treatment, printing, and dyeing and drying. So block will definitely take not more than 2 days, but this Sri Kalahasti will definitely take more time, as it is happening with the hand, and the number of colors, if more they are applied, then more time it will take.
Next question, ma'am. How do you differentiate between original kalamkari and replicas?
Uh, Irregularities in the design, if it is done by hand. Every time the column is dipped in the paint and it is continued as a design. So there will be difference in thicknesses of the outline will be there. The filling of the color, like here you see the background color of Hanumanji and background color of Ganesha, that the red that you see, there will be patchiness in the effect as it has been applied with the color. So the control on the color application is very important, and somewhere you will find more color applied, and somewhere you will find lesser color. So some patchiness will be there. So if the replication is done, it might be happening with the screen, or it may be happening with the roller printing not much in practice, but if it is happening with the screen printing, then the design must have been developed with the artwork, or if it is done on the computers, then evenness, fineness, regularity will be maintained. The color application will be even throughout, and that is how the handcrafted technique will have irregularities of thicknesses of the line, some patchiness you will definitely be able to identify as far as background filling color is concerned. Same thing happens with the block printing also. Every time the block is printed on the fabric, the maybe the overall printing is done, the total field of the fabric is filled with the block printing, but wherever every time the block is printed, if the design is registered well, not registered well, the amount that is taken in the block, the amount of color, it will differ at every stroke of the block. So irregularities you will definitely find in the amount of color and the edges that you find on the blocks. And that is how this is the whatever the value of the handcrafted textiles, that you say that it is all done by hand.
Next
Any,
question, madam.
yeah.
Why Ajrak print seems always fresh? Why Ajrak print all seem always fresh?
Fresh. It is one thing, it is done with the natural dyes. The techniques of natural dyes that they have developed and the way they are using it with the resist type of printing technique, and they are doing on both the sides of the fabric. The process of development of the color is very much standardized, and unless and until the particular tinge of shade is not developed, the repetition of dyeing is happening, and that is why it is, means the precision is so much. As I said, the preparatory time is, preparatory washing is also done 7 and 8 times. So once the pure fabric is ready for the printing, they don't go for printing. So The preparation is done in a such a way that the fabric will also take the resist and the dye very readily, and the true color that they want to depict on the textiles, it will come up. One side printing and the other side printing, both the side printing of ajrak makes the reversible fabric, and that is how, again, like patolas of Patan, the natural colors, the technique of natural dyes is so well established by these printers that the colors do not fade away. Of course, I'm not talking of the fading parameters that we always use for testing of the fading of the dye, the way we expose it in the photometer or we expose in the direct sunlight for hours together. I'm not talking of those parameters, but yes, in the regular course of time, this particular fabric is having the same colors and intensity preserved. It is basically the um, technique of the dyeing of by these craftspeople that they have developed and they are doing with it. There is no special this thing to it. The way the natural dyes are prepared and the way they are applied, it is the same, but they are very much professional, I would say, in that color application. This particular community of Kutch, the Khatri people, they are doing it. They are marvelous with their work.
Highest marginal price of handloom craft, so it used slowly down. How the handloom craft utility and productivity improve?
Uh, the prices of all this handcraft, as I said, the productivity is less in terms because they are done by hand. So, and of course, the prices are high. If you're looking at it at the natural dyes, the natural dye themselves will be costly. So overall, the cost of the product is high, and definitely it will serve to only the elite class of people, I would say. And when it comes to the need of common people, there has to be a replication in the market. Handloom industries, definitely, as I said, the tedious process of making all this traditional craft will take number of days to produce a product. The number of products produced are less, means per day production is less. The cost of the production comes very high. So whatever the return they get here, in the form of income for their survival is less. So there will be lesser people now wish to continue with their original craft or their original traditional textiles. So there will be definitely, everybody wants to have some revival of the craft or support of the handloom sector or the craft sector should be given, or there would be government supporting finance also for the upliftment of the craft. But only thing is, the commercialization of the craft is again important thing, that how many would still want to stick to their traditional technique. And some of the crafts people we have come across, like some from Rajasthan and some from, they do not want to share their craft technique to other people. If they want to hand it over to only the family members, so in that case, there is a reservation of that particular craft, that it is only limited to their family. And day by day, we have lesser people working on this craft. So one need to go with the broad thinking, and there should be lot many workshops or training programs or short-term courses happening where these people, more people can be trained for this craft. So the craft can be extended and more products can be prepared.
Thank you so much, madam, for giving us very beautiful and colorful presentation about printing, dyeing technique, and block printing design, etc. It is very interesting. We have got the vast information about traditional printing technique and how to use different color in traditional printing technique by different state. Thank you so much, ma'am.
I also thank the Rama Devi Women's University, Dr. Ajanta and her team for giving me the opportunity to speak here in this faculty development program. And with my talk, I hope all the participants of this program will be benefited. And as I have already shared the link in my references, in my slides also, so you can view through, and more reading is required. Miss, there is, as I have already seen in your earlier slide presentation, that India is a country with the rich heritage of text, woven, printed, and embroidered and dyed textiles. So there is no end to it once you start reading about it. So only little bit I could manage to cover as per within the limited time frame and the title of the core topic. I did my best, and if the whole state of India one would like to want to cover, then it will definitely take about a week's or 10 days program. So thank you so much again, and all the best to all of you.
Thank you so
Thank you,
much, ma'am.
ma'am.
Excellent presentation, I must say, very informative. And I think the new growth in the textiles and clothing that in the content of our syllabus, that will be much benefited from the valuable informations that you have shared with all of us today. Thank you, ma'am. Once again, I appreciate your time and effort that you have given to us and to Department of Home Science, Ramadevi Women's University will always look forward your presence in such programs. Thank you all participants. Tomorrow we will meet at the same time, 11 a.m. Till then, bye-bye and take care. Thank you, madam. Thank you for joining us
Thank
today.
you so much. Bye bye.
Thank you. I think we will end the meeting now.
Yeah.
Thank you.